When I share with people that I have a disability, they're often shocked. What do you mean you have a disability? I can't see it. Well, trust me, it's there. But this element of surprise isn't just limited to me, but how often do we experience these secret storms, whether it be financially or with our relationships or with our work or whatever it may be, yet the people we're closest to, the people that we walk past on the street, they can't see it. Today I want to talk about those things that we're battling that aren't always known to those around us. And most importantly, I want to talk about how do we persevere in the face of such adversity. You see, I was born with an ultra-rare genetic skin disease called pachyonychia congenita, or PC for short. And what this means at a very simple level is that my skin cells reproduce at such a rate that my fingernails and toenails are a little bit thicker than the average person. I can experience some trouble speaking, my voice can get a little raspy, and it can cause severe calluses and blisters all over my feet. And now, I mentioned that this was an ultra-rare disease, and to put a little perspective on that, there are a little over 1,000 registered patients with PC in the entire world. And in my home state of Maryland, there are only 5 people that have it, one of which is me. And so growing up, I would visit doctor after doctor, and they had never met someone with my condition. And they would always say, you know, little guy, tell us what the pain is like, and this is how I would describe it. Imagine you're walking through your living room, and you go crunch on a Lego. Now, if you've ever stepped on one of these pieces of plastic, you know the pain can be excruciating. But for someone with PC, that's what walking can be like. And so as one might imagine, it's affected many aspects of my life. But one of the areas I've struggled the most with it was college, because in high school, I had these big dreams of going to this massive university, you know, the big school spirit, the football games, I wanted all of that. But in the back of my mind, I had this fear, like, how was I going to get from this end of campus all the way to this end in 15 minutes? I knew it could potentially take a toll on my feet. But despite that, I decided to go to Virginia Tech. And after I got accepted, I was sitting around the dinner table with my mom. We were talking, and she asked me this, and she was like, are you sure you're going to be able to get around campus? Like, are you sure with your feet and everything? And in the most disrespectful, naive response, I crossed my arms and was like, I will be fine, don't worry about me. And I was fine for about the first week. Because when I woke up the following Sunday, my feet were burning. The toll of walking around and venturing Blacksburg had finally caught up with me. And when I looked down that morning, my feet were starting to become covered with blisters. In fact, I wanted to share a picture with you from that Sunday just to illustrate how bad it was, because I'm not sure words can do it justice. And to make matters worse, the following day after icing my feet, my right foot got infected and there was like a bowling ball coming. It was a nightmare. And so that night I sat there, I had 3 pounds of ice from 7-Eleven, I had a bucket to ice my feet, and I was staring at the ceiling. My mind, meanwhile, is spiraling. How is it going to make it 4 years? How is it going to make friends? How? I sat there lost. In some ways, I was angry. How could this be? This isn't what college is supposed to be like. And then I was overwhelmed with this feeling of hopelessness. And in that moment, what I really needed was some direction. How was I going to make it 4 years like this? But most importantly, how the heck was I going to make it to the end of the week? And I can tell you the answer wasn't just going to be to tough it out or to be a man. That wasn't going to help, because this wasn't going away. So as I sat there thinking what I was going to do, I just paused and said, I'm just going to try and make it to the end of the semester. Transferring, just try and make it to the end of the semester. And to do that, I was like, I probably should try and pass my classes, because that failing out would really only cause a whole different world of problems other than what I was dealing with currently. And so that week, I made it my daily goal. I was like, okay, how am I going to make it to the end of the semester? And I was like, you know what? Every day this week, I'm going to make it to class. Because if I can make it to class, I can pay attention somewhat, and I'll hopefully pass. And before I know it, it'll be the end of the semester. And I called these daily goals my small steps. Now, the power of these small steps is that no matter what I was experiencing that day, what was happening to me, all I knew is that I had to take one small step and get my butt to class. And for the first time since that Sunday, I had a little bit of control over my life. I had a little bit of direction on how to climb out of this. Now, I've talked a lot about direction, but why is that so important? Well, at its core, these small steps every day to go from A to B, that is way too simple. Because we all know that life isn't kind enough to just let us go from A to B. There will always be that curveball. But I believe the small steps, approaching things in daily goals, can serve as your guide, serve as your blueprint in that turmoil. And here's what I mean. After about a few weeks of my small steps, I was going to class, I was doing my homework, I was doing everything I thought I could do that day. Things were going great. I was about 4 weeks into the semester. I had a lot of friends, and surely Blacksburg was becoming my new home. Well, after a particularly hot weekend, I had a flare-up with my feet, and I was kind of a mess. I was really hobbling around campus, and one night I was studying over at Newman Library. It was one of those nights where you're studying till like 3 a.m. I walk outside, and I was like, I thought my bike was right there. And they're like, no, Pat, it was right there. It wasn't there. Someone had stolen my bike. I don't know how someone could do that, but it was gone. And instantly I could feel this wave of emotions I had in my dorm room rushing back. Oh no, were my feet going to flare up really bad again? Oh no, how am I going to get around campus? What am I going to tell my friends? But before I got too distraught, before I got too kind of out of control, I came back to the small steps. Because even though my bike was gone, and I'm still mad about it, but even though it was gone, I knew tomorrow I still needed to get up and hit my daily goal of going to class, studying for an hour every day, doing all my homework. Because I knew if I did those things, even though my circumstances had changed, I would still make it to the end of the semester. So the next day, reset, the alarm clock rang, hit it off, grabbed my backpack, a couple ibuprofen, and I was off to McBride. And in about 40 minutes, probably the slowest pace ever to go from one side of the drill field to the other, I made it. Now, I found a ton of value in having these daily goals because no matter what life threw at me, I knew even if I had to make an adjustment here or there, I was still moving forward. And before I knew it, I virtually walked across the stage last spring to graduate. And even though Instagram only saw this, I sure as heck know there was a lot of hurdles that I had to jump through to make it there. But I attribute all of those days in between, that moment, that picture, to my small steps. Now, the last piece I want to share with you about the importance of setting goals is that it really can build a positive attitude in the journey. And when I talk about the journey, when we talk about going from A to whatever your goal is, there's so much time in the middle. And this is what people sometimes call the grind, right? But the grind becomes so challenging because when we're in that thing, when we're doing our daily steps every single day, we don't always see progress. And the reason we don't see progress is because we become addicted to the end. What do I mean? I'll share one last story. And when I was a freshman, I think it was a freshman or sophomore, I was trying to get an internship. And I know for people that have graduated, getting an internship doesn't seem like a big deal. But for any college student, it's a really big deal. And so I identified my steps. I knew what it was going to take to eventually get there. And I was about, I think, 2 months in, and it was rejection after rejection, no response after no response. And I got really down because I viewed how the day went by whether or not I had an internship offer. And so that formulated into, how about today? Oh, nope, failure. What about tomorrow? Nope, failure. Oh, I got a Gmail notification. Maybe it's them. Oh no, that's another rejection, failure. And then when you get in this kind of constant failure after failure, we give up. And I was really close. Same thing with New Year's resolutions. We get 2 weeks in after that initial motivation kind of comes back. When we don't see the progress, we step aside. So my lovely grandma gave me a call, and I think I got that day like 2 or 3 rejections. I was really upset. And she calls and was like, how you doing? I was in the most sour mood, and she could tell instantly. And she's like, what's wrong with you? I was like, well, I'm trying my best, and it's not happening. Like, I don't know what to do. And she said something to me that was so powerful, and I'll never forget it. She was like, stop worrying about whether you got your little internship or not. Just figure out and just worry about, did you do today what you needed to do? And if you did that, that's all you can do. And it changed my whole attitude because instead of thinking today was a failure because I wasn't at the end, I was like, you know what? Today was a big win because today I did what I said I needed to do. Today I took action. Today I was one step closer. May not be there yet, but I was on my way. And this builds a little bit of confidence, and that confidence can build momentum, and that momentum builds to commitment to get to the end. It takes you from here all the way. And so the next time you're experiencing something, whether it be hopefully not something like me with your feet, but kind of a problem, or you have this big goal like running a marathon, whatever it may be, Just think about the steps you need to take every day to get there. And now, when life inevitably throws your scales out of balance, these small steps can give you the direction on where to go. It will give you the perspective to focus on today's accomplishments, not the end, today, and the motivation to stay committed along the journey. Small steps isn't about jumping from highlight reel moment to highlight reel moment. Rather, it's about judging our days on whether we planted a seed today for a better opportunity tomorrow. It's about giving us direction even when life throws us a nasty curveball. And I know to some people, you're like, oh, that may be too simple. That's fine. But that's the beauty of it. Because no matter how big the obstacle or how big the goal, it all begins with one step.